So we have the flashcard builder, which essentially, if we run this, we're able to build a flashcard as we saw earlier. And now we have to create another window, another user interface that will allow us to emulate a flashcard. So it's going to show us the question, and then we have to click show answer, and then we'll show the answer. Okay. So we'll do the same thing we did for the flashcard with our flashcard player. That's what we're going to call it. All right. So let's go ahead and create a new class here. So new, we're going to call this flashcard player. And we also going to have a static void main entry point here because it's another entity within the same application. Okay. So we need this here as well. Of course, we're going to go ahead and do swing utility.invoke later time, new runnable. And of course, here we are going to pass to run our flashcard player, say new flashcard player public flashcard player. Okay. All right. So what are we going to do here? You guessed it. Build UI, the user interface, all of this stuff. So we're going to go back and do the same thing we did earlier. So with a few tweaks. Okay. So instance variables here. So private JText area. We're going to call this display. And this is going to be the answer. I'm going to create an array list, okay, of type flashcards. Okay, so we're going to say this card list. We've seen this before. We're going to create an iterator because we know how to use them now, so we might as well create one here. It's going to be of type, it's going to be card iterator. Okay. Now we're going to create a flashcard called current card. I'm going to create an integer here, which will be called current index or current card index. That's probably the best name. Okay, we're getting there. It's going to create a JFrame because we need it desperately. Okay, we're going to also go ahead and let's see, what else do we need? We need a boolean. Show answer. We're going to use that later. Most of these will make more sense once we start building things here. Okay, so let's build the user interface. Okay, first thing first, frame. Okay, you probably know this by heart by now. We're going to call this flashcard player. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and create JPanel. I'm going to name this main panel. Okay. JPanel. There we go. Let's go ahead. Why not do some font here? Call it font is equal to new font. And let's make it Helvetica. New again. And the style is going to be font.bold. And size, let's do 22. All right, nothing new here. Now let's do some setting up with the frame set default. So in closing, we want to make sure JFrame exit on close. That way, when they click that exit button on the window, it actually shuts down the application. Always a good idea. And now see display, which is a text area. We're going to create the actual display, JText area. I'm going to give 10, 20 rows and columns. There we go. Display that set font. We're going to pass in our font, font that we just created. All right, nothing big deal. Let's go ahead and create our JScroll panels here, panes. Okay, so we're going to JS. I'm going to call this question scroll pane. New. Okay, there we go. I'm going to pass in display because that's where we want it to happen. We want our display area to be scrollable. And let's set up a few constraints here to make sure we don't have things scrolling Just scroll, you can say that set vertical scrolling, scroll bar, I'm gonna say scroll constants dot vertical scroll bar always for the vertical. Okay, so now let's make the horizontal one set horizontal to never. So never, where would that be? There we go, scroll bar never. There we go. Oh, we have a problem here. Set horizontal scroll bar. Let's change to that. It's got to be policy, sir. Policy. There we go. Policy. Oh, I always get that wrong. It's policy. All right, you probably saw this and started laughing at me. It's all good. We all make mistakes. All right, so next we are going to create we have to create a next button. Let's go ahead and create another one here. Private J button. I'm gonna call this next button. So essentially will allow us to go to the next question if there is a next question. Okay, so let's set it up here. So say next button, create the actual button. The button, we're gonna say next or show. Well, this should be show answer, which let's change this to show. Let's change this to show answer. I think it's more appropriate, right? Not just next. Show. There we go. So it's a show answer, show answer. Perfect. Could have been fine, but let's be consistent. That's very important too. All right, so now let's add a few things to the main the scroll to the main panel here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and say main panel that add which component first. We're gonna go and add the QJ scroll component. Okay, because that's the first thing we want to show, and then let's next add. What do we add next? Let's add the show answer button. I think that would work. We have way too many parentheses there. All right, so now let's go ahead and create an event listener to our button. So it's gonna say answer that set answer that add show answer that add action listener. Gonna say new next. Okay, next card listener, which we haven't created. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and create this class here. So next card listener, let's copy this and go to the bottom here. Let's go ahead and create class implements action listener. That's good. And we're gonna create the actual unimplemented methods. Okay, that's perfect. Again, let's okay, so that's taken care of. Okay, so everything is in the main panel, but we have to add things to the frame. Let's say here add to frame. Okay, that's where we're gonna add things to frame, but before we do that, let's go ahead and add more things that we need. So let's go ahead and add to the frame so we can actually see stuff here. So let's say frame that get content pane that add. So we're gonna go ahead and say border layout because we want everything to look good. That's center. Okay, and then the constraints we're gonna pass. So we're gonna actually pass the main panel because that's where everything has to be. Okay, and of course, don't forget we have to set up size here. Frame that set size. Let's get 640 by perhaps 500. That would work. Okay, and of course, most importantly, we gotta set visible. Otherwise, nothing will show, as you very well know by now. All right, so this should work. Okay, let's run this right now. Oh, there we go. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So we have here a FlashCard and show answer, and of course, nothing happens. That's really, really awesome. So good. So at least we have an idea of how things are supposed to look. That's always very encouraging. Let's keep moving here. So next thing we need to do, let's run this one more time. We need to be able to, of course, have a menu bar with a file menu where we can click and then go fetch the text file that we have saved previously. Okay, so read from that. Okay, so that's the idea. So let's go ahead and do that. By now you probably know how to do that. So here we're gonna say add menu. So we're gonna create J menu bar again. Okay, J menu bar. I'm gonna call this menu bar. Okay, now we're gonna create the file name. So J menu, the actual menu. I'm gonna call file menu. Okay, and we can pass here says file. Okay, now we're going to create the actual menu item. So say J menu item. There we go. Let's call this load menu item. And pass in load card set. Now we need to add an event listener to a load menu item, because we want to be able to, when they click on the load menu item or the load card menu item there, we want to be able to open a menu listener so that they can go and find where they saved the quiz or the text file, right, to be read in. All right, so in this case, we're going to go ahead and say load menu item dot add action listener. We're going to say new open. In this case, we want open menu listener. Okay, we will create that one, and then we're going to go ahead and say file. Then we're going to say file menu dot add load menu item. Okay, which we just created, and then we're going to say menu bar dot add file menu. Again, that hierarchy that we talked about here. So let's go ahead and create this class here. So implements action listener, and let's open up something real cool here. There we go, adding unimplemented. That way we don't have to type and suffer from carpal tunnel forever. All right, that was a joke. Anyway, so now here we go. Not necessarily, actually, if you think about it. All right, so we have the class created and the method that we'll be using to actually implement the open menu listener. And while we're here, why not just do it, right? So let's go and create so what we need to do here. Well, here we have to open a file chooser. Again, we have to allow them to go and open where and point to where the file was saved that needs to be read, like the FlashCard per se. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and say JFile chooser, JFile chooser. So file open. We're gonna call this right. It's equal to new JFile chooser. Now here we can say file open that. We say show open dialog, right? Remember, this is very important because that's what will allow us to actually open. And we have to pass in the frame, okay? Because that's the context. And then here we're going to say load file, which is a method we haven't created. And then we're going to pass in the file that we just opened. So we're going to say file open dot get selected file. While we're here, let's go ahead and create this. There we go. We're gonna, of course, not put it here. Put it outside here. Gonna put it outside here. So there we go. Load file. For now, just leave it empty. Okay. Now, if we save this, we should be able to run and see something here. You probably discovered that we need to do a little bit of work for us to be able to see the files. Think we need to actually add some stuff. Let's see. Let's say here frame that set menu bar and pass in the menu bar. And that should do it, folks. Let's get menu bar, the first one. There we go. Let's run this. There we go. So we said file, load, and look at that. It gives us access to this file chooser where we can go and load the actual file. Of course, nothing's going to happen for now because we haven't implemented it. Great, that's all right, because we are moving forward and this is great. We are really getting close to finalizing this application and just launch it and start seeing how all of this works. Okay, I'm very excited. So I'll see you in the next video.